Hey guys, video number 8 for the post-trib pre-wrath rapture position. Now, Revelation, the easiest way to understand how the book of Revelation is laid out is to simply cut it in half. And so many people, they just jump around Revelation and they think this chapter goes before this chapter, but it's actually in chronological order. Chapters 1 through 11 is in order, and then it starts back over at 1st century AD in chapter 12 and goes all the way to chapter 22. Now, within those books, there is some parenthetical chapters, and we're going to look at one here in a second. But you start off speaking to the churches which are in Asia, and you have to remember the beginning of Revelation. Jesus Christ tells John to write the things which were, which are, and which are to come. So we've got past, present, and future. But the 1st century is the first 3 books, and then after that, you've got the tribulation, you've got the rapture, you've got God pouring out his wrath. And then it starts over in chapter 12 at 1st century, speaking of the woman that brought forth the man-child, and the dragon goes and tries to persecute it and tries to wipe him out. And then you've got the events of the tribulation. You've got the rapture again. Then you got God's wrath. And then, of course, you got him coming back on a white horse, and then the millennial reign, the great white throne judgment. So it is in order. Chapters 1 through 11 in order. Chapters 12 through 22 in order. But here within that, we have a parenthetical chapter. And the cool thing about chapter 14 of the book of Revelation is it has every event pretty much in its order. It's got the 144,000 being sealed at the beginning, but then it shows tribulation, rapture, then the wrath of God in order in one chapter. That's what makes it so cool. So let's pick up in chapter 14. Look at verse 14. So 14:14. And I looked, and you just had him talking about the tribulation aspect, but right after the tribulation, it says, and I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man. We know this is Jesus Christ. Here he is, coming on a cloud, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle, a reaping tool, a tool that's used to gather harvest, or a tool that's used to cut down things and burn them. So he uses it 2 ways. Watch. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap. Watch this. For the harvest of the earth is ripe. And many times in the Bible, the rapture is referred to as a harvest. You know, the first thing you have is first fruits. You know, the Bible says every man in his own order, Christ the first fruits. So he was the first one that resurrected from the dead. He was the first begotten of the dead. Then the Bible says, then they that are his it is coming. That's the harvest. Then cometh the end. Those are the gleanings. Those that the second resurrection after the great white throne. Okay. So here you have, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Verse 16, and he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. This is the rapture. Watch this. And then another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud voice, with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. Now remember, we're out of here, verse 16. So this is everybody left over. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and the blood came out of the winepress even to the horses' bridles by the space of 1,600 furlongs. So you have the wrath of God, obviously, with the finality of Jesus coming back and vanquishing his enemies. So there you have tribulation, rapture, wrath, all in one chapter.